let me ask you something. Have you ever been dumped in a way that just didn't sit right with you? Like, you weren't even mad, you were just insulted? That was me. Her name was Vanessa. And she had this way of making me feel like I was the center of her world. Until suddenly, I wasn't. She ended things out of nowhere. Said she needed time to figure herself out. Said we should stay friends. But not even 2 weeks later, she was out with another guy, laughing, flirting, acting like I never even existed. So yeah, I was pissed. But more than that, I wanted her to regret it. And that's when the plan came to me. If she thought she could move on that fast, then so could I. And what better way to make her jealous than with the one girl she always thought was a threat? Enter Riley, my best friend, my ride or die since high school. We had never crossed that line, but Vanessa, she always had her doubts. She'd say things like, "Are you sure Riley doesn't have feelings for you?" Or, "I just feel like she wants more than friendship." So, if Vanessa already had suspicions, why not play into them? I called Riley up, laid out the plan, told her it was just for fun, just to shake Vanessa up a little. And Riley, she laughed, then said, "Screw it, let's do it." So that's how it started. A few candid pictures of Riley and me, looking extra close. A couple of Insta stories, inside jokes, late night hangouts. And it worked. Vanessa noticed. She started lurking, watching my stories. Even accidentally texted me one night. "Hey, hope you're doing okay." I should have felt satisfied. I should have taken the win and walked away. But I didn't, because, see, what started as a game was about to turn into something I never saw coming. Let's get something straight. I never meant for this to go past a couple of fake Instagram posts. A little harmless fun to make Vanessa realize what she lost. But the thing about playing with fire, you never really control where it spreads. And before I knew it, I wasn't the one pulling the strings anymore. At first, everything was going exactly how I planned. Vanessa was watching. She was texting me, asking things like, "You and Riley have been hanging out a lot, huh?" And I played it cool. "Yeah, I guess." But Riley, she wasn't playing. One night, we were out grabbing drinks, laughing like we always did. And I made some dumb joke about how we were really selling this thing. And she just looked at me, then said, "Who says we're pretending?" I laughed, brushed it off. But she didn't, because, see, while I had been playing the game, she had actually caught feelings. And that's when things started to crack. Because suddenly, Riley was all in. She was holding my hand in public, cuddling up to me when we were alone. And the worst part, I didn't hate it. And that is when Vanessa decided to strike back. You ever seen someone go from, "I don't care," to, "I will ruin you in a matter of days"? Because that's what happened. Vanessa started showing up where she knew I'd be, wearing the dresses she knew I loved, flirting with guys just close enough to me that I'd notice. And when I didn't bite, she took it further. One night, I get a text from her. "I need to talk to you. Can we meet?" Curiosity got the best of me. So I met her at this little dive bar we used to go to. And let me tell you, she came ready. Tight dress, hair done just right. She leaned in close, touched my arm, and said, "I was wrong about us. I miss you." And that's when I should have walked away. That's when I should have shut the whole thing down. But instead, I kissed her. And that kiss, that was the match that set everything on fire. I shouldn't have kissed Vanessa. I knew that. The second our lips met, I knew I was making the worst mistake of my life. But in that moment, I wasn't thinking about Riley. I wasn't thinking about the plan or how deep I was in. I was just thinking about how Vanessa used to be mine. And for a split second, it felt like she still was. But see, the universe has a funny way of punishing you immediately when you do something you know is wrong. Because guess who walked into that bar right as Vanessa and I pulled apart? Yeah, Riley. She stood there, frozen. And I swear to God, I felt the betrayal hit her. It was like watching someone take a bullet in slow motion. Vanessa, she just smirked, like she knew Riley was there, like she wanted her to see. But Riley, she didn't say a word. She just turned and walked away. I should have chased after her. I should have done something. But I didn't. And that was the second mistake that ruined everything. I went home that night thinking, I'll fix this tomorrow. But Riley, she had other plans. See, the thing about Riley is, she's not the type to cry and wait for an apology. No, when you hurt Riley, she hits back. And the next morning, I woke up to a text from my friend Mark. It was a picture of Riley at a club, sitting in some guy's lap. And not just any guy, Vanessa's ex. My stomach dropped because this was an accident. This was a declaration of war. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I realized I wasn't the one in control anymore. You ever have that moment? That second where everything slows down and you realize, I just messed up. Yeah, that was me. I stood there like an idiot, staring at my phone, waiting for a reply that wasn't coming. Riley wasn't answering my texts. She wasn't returning my calls. And when I went to find her the next morning, she looked right through me. I tried to explain, told her it was all a stupid mistake. That Vanessa didn't mean anything. She just smiled and said, "It's cool. I really don't care." Then walked right past me like I was nobody. You ever want something more when you realize you can't have it? Because let me tell you, Riley, I couldn't stop thinking about her. And that's when the real madness started. I went home that night, expecting her to text. Nothing. I checked her socials. She was out, looking good, having fun, living her best darn life. And the worst part? She wasn't doing it for me. She wasn't trying to make me jealous. She had just moved on. And that killed me. So I did what any rational guy would do. I showed up at her place, knocked on her door like some lovesick idiot. And when she opened it, she gave me this look like she pitied me. That was worse than anger, worse than hate, because it meant she had already decided I wasn't worth the fight. I begged right there on her doorstep, told her I was sorry, told her I was an idiot. She listened, let me say everything I needed to say. And when I was done, she just shrugged and said, "You should have figured that out sooner." Then she shut the door in my face. And that's when I knew I wasn't the one in control anymore. Riley was. And if I wanted her back, I was going to have to fight for her. I always thought jealousy was a weapon, a tool to make someone see your worth. But when it's turned against you, it doesn't just sting, it burns. Riley wasn't just ignoring me. She was erasing me. I'd text, she'd leave me on read. I'd call, straight to voicemail. And the worst part? She was out there, living, laughing, glowing in ways that made me ache. I went to our favorite bar, hoping she'd be there. And she was, but not alone. She was with him. Some guy I'd never seen before. Tall, sharp-dressed, hand resting right on her waist like he had every right to be there. I wanted to walk up, cut in, say something, but she saw me first. And that's when she did it. She leaned in, close enough for him to whisper something in her ear. Then she laughed. Not just any laugh. The same one she used to give me. You ever feel your own heart get shattered in real time? Because that's exactly what it felt like. I should have walked away. Should have let her have her moment. But I couldn't. Instead, I did the dumbest thing imaginable. I grabbed my drink, down in one go, and walked right up to them. "Riley, long time no see." She didn't even flinch. Just raise an eyebrow like I was nothing more than an acquaintance. Then, with the smuggest little smirk, she said, "Oh, hey, sorry, what was your name again?" That right there was the moment I realized I had lost this game. You ever see a man lose his pride in real time? Because let me tell you, mine wasn't just slipping, it was crumbling. After that night at the bar, I couldn't think about anything else. I told myself I wouldn't text, wouldn't call, wouldn't let her see me crack. But by the next morning, I was breaking. First, I tried a casual approach. "Hey, Riley, just wanted to say, I'm sorry. Hope you're good." No response. 2 hours later, "Riley, seriously, can we just talk?" Still nothing. By the end of the day, I wasn't texting anymore. I was calling. And when that didn't work, I did something even worse. I showed up. Yeah, I went to her place. Not to yell, not to argue, but just to see her. To get her to look me in the eye and remember. But she wasn't home. Or at least, that's what I thought. Until I heard his voice from inside. I don't know what came over me. I just stood there listening, hearing her laugh at something he said, hearing her sound happy. That's when it hit me. I wasn't the one in control anymore. I was the one waiting, hoping, begging, and it made me sick. That's when I knew if I wanted Riley back, I had to stop chasing. I had to become the man she couldn't ignore. So I did something drastic. I disappeared. No more texts. No more calls. I stopped showing up. Stopped being available. I cut off all access to me, just like she did. And you know what happens when you take something away? People start to want it. It took a week. One long, torturous week. Then Riley broke. I woke up to a message. Just one. Hey, you okay? But if you think I jumped at her first text, then you don't know me at all. I stared at my phone. Hey, you okay? Just 3 words. But in them, everything. The hesitation, the uncertainty, the regret. I waited, didn't answer. Not that day, not the next. By day 3, she sent another. It's been a while. Can we talk? Oh, Riley, now you want to talk. So I did what any man with a plan would do. I let her sweat. The thing about control, it's like a drug. Once you lose it, you'll do anything to get it back. And Riley, she was fiending for a fix. One night, I'm out with some friends. Relax. Moved on. Or at least, that's what I wanted her to think. And then she shows up. I see her before she sees me. She looks different. Not just in how she's dressed, but in how she carries herself. Nervous. Off balance. And when her eyes finally land on me, I watch it happen. Watch the moment she realizes I'm not hers anymore. She walks over. And for the first time ever, she's the one who has to ask for my attention. Hey, can we talk? And for a split second, I want to keep the game going. To make her feel the way I did when she turned me down time after time. But then I let go of the act. Because the truth was, I still wanted her to. So instead of making her beg, I nodded. You're Riley, we can talk. And that was when her shoulders dropped. Like she had been bracing for me to shut her down completely. Like she thought I wanted to hurt her. And maybe a part of me had wanted that. But not anymore. We sat down at a quiet corner of the bar. No games. No power plays. Just the truth. I'm sorry, Derek. I didn't let her finish before chiming in. Because hearing her say it, that was a win on its own. I messed up, I admitted. I took you for granted. And I thought you'd always be there. I swallowed, eyes locked on hers. But when you walked away, I realized I was wrong. I let the words settle. You know, she said slowly, I thought making you jealous would feel good. Thought it would make me even. She shook her head, but it didn't, because I didn't want to hurt you, Derek. I just wanted you to see me. She said, biting her lip. I see you, Riley, I do. I replied, and for the first time, there were no walls between us. No second guessing. No games. Just us. She looked at me, uncertain. So, where does that leave us? I exhaled. That depends, Riley. She frowned. On what? I leaned forward, meeting her gaze. On whether you're done playing games. She swallowed, thought about it, and then, finally, she smiled. Yeah, she whispered, I am. And just like that, the chase was over. But our story, that was just getting started.